Hi, welcome to World Geo and History, the story of the world from ancient times to the present. The purpose of this course is to build an understanding of how our modern-day societies and present-day world geography came to be. To do that, we are going to go right back to ancient times, right to the old centre of the world, the Middle East and Northern Africa. Beginning with the Sumerians of Mesopotamia, we explore our earliest modern civilisations, where we move from being simple hunter-gatherers to growing our own food, to building the cities and empires that humankind is known for today. We travel past the ancient pyramids of Giza, down to the valleys of the kings and queens of ancient Egypt, and then back up and across the map to ancient Persia, an often forgotten corner of the ancient world, yet one that provided much to the ancient Greeks. Before heading up to Greece though, we'll also note the importance of other significant early civilizations that occurred in Asia too. Those, for example, of the Indus Valley region and a crossover into China are notable for their contribution of ideas that also shaped later societies to come. Having explored these, and then heading up into Greece, and then down to Rome as well, we will then explore some of the foundational ideas of Western democracies, noting the significant exploits of the Romans, before then returning to the Middle East to highlight the development and importance of religious ideas that came from this region and which also helped to shape our modern societies. While back in the Middle East, we'll talk about the rise of Judaism, Christianity and Islam, three of the world's largest religions, and going back a little earlier in time, we'll also note the rise of Hinduism in the lands that today we call India, where Buddhism also arose a little while later too. With the decline of the Roman Empire in Europe and the beginning of the Middle Ages, European societies very much went into decline. The Dark Ages, as historians often refer to this period, included events like the Crusades, which were religious wars between Christians and Muslims, and it was during this period too that important figures like Genghis Khan and his loyal horde also swept across the known world, creating the largest contiguous land empire that the world had ever seen. We'll talk about the Byzantines too, the last part of the Roman Empire, where, after Rome was conquered, the Romans shifted their capital city to the important city of Constantinople. Today this is a city we call Istanbul, which, very famously, was also conquered by another significant empire to be the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans conquered Constantinople in 1453, having established a dynasty that would then also last all the way until the 20th century. With the rise of the Ottomans, we also saw other big empires begin to emerge too. Often in conflict with the Ottomans was the rise of the Great Russian Empire. We'll be looking at that briefly, but perhaps most importantly for our story and the story of how much of our world maps came to look as they do today is also the rise of the other great European colonial empires. Those of countries, for example, like Portugal, Spain, Great Britain and France. As these European powers emerged from the Dark Ages into an age known as the Renaissance, we'll talk about the rise of these colonial powers and their conquering and colonising across the world, often to awful effect. From the Americas to Africa to Asia and down to my little corner of the world, down in New Zealand, we'll find out why the European story is so important to world geography and indeed history. Finishing with the history of the last 100 years, including the two great wars, World War I and World War II, the Cold War too, and the rise of modern international institutions. By the end of this course, you, or your learner, will have a good understanding of how much of our world geography and history is very much all connected, and how our histories continue to define much of how our world operates still today.